I'm Dan.
We're in the ocean.
I'm Zoo.
Under the power of wind.
And these are our boys.
Louis and Pepe.
I can't say he got himself out.
In October 2021, we moved out of our van.
And into a sailboat.
But before we can see the world,
We've got to clean her up.
It's looking a lot better.
fix her up,
And learn to sail and navigate.
so we have a big year ahead.
Full of challenges, opportunities, adventures, and surprises.
And that's just the beginning.
In episode 6,
We take you on a tour of our 41-foot 1988 Morgan Classic. Hey guys, after 2 months of working on this thing and living on it, we finally felt like we could show you guys around and talk a little bit about why we picked this boat in particular and why we couldn't pass up the chance to buy it.
we have a ton to do to this boat still. We've done a fair amount, but we thought it'd be fun to look at it where it is now, where we're comfortable showing it off to our friends, and it'll probably be pretty fun to get a look at this and do this again when we're actually done outfitting it to fit our needs and the needs of safely cruising long distances. So let's take a look around. All right, so let's start at the back of the boat. Some things we chose in this boat have to do with it being equipped with things we know we need that we didn't want to have to spend money on in the first year. And that includes a working dinghy, davits to not only hang the dinghy from, but also to mount solar panels. So just looking at the dinghy real quick, it's an AB, it works. I patched a bunch of holes in it. We put a larger motor. We've actually maxed out the motor horsepower for this so that we can go more places faster with more gear. That's rad. So you can just barely see one of the most important reasons that we chose this boat through the water here, and that is this is a Morgan Classic, again, not an out island, and that means it has a performance keel. So the rudder's hanging from an extended gudgeon, and there's a shorter, higher performance keel separate from that rudder. And what that does is ultimately creates a boat that can sail faster and better into the wind. We've already experienced that this boat sails close hauled just fine. So that was one of the most important reasons why we chose this boat. So another big component of this boat is just the size. The dimensions were really important to us. So 41 feet that's the length that really starts to make sense for big blue water cruising in rough conditions. It creates enough room for the cabins that we wanted, but also this boat's fat. It's got an over 13-foot beam, and what that does, combined with the extreme heavy keel that this has, it creates a really stable boat, which is important for us feeling safe. Not necessarily super fast, but we're okay with that. The other thing is 13-foot beam just creates a ton of space, which you're going to see when we go down into the cabin. So that was obviously a really big deal for us. The boat itself is in really good, strong condition. Probably the aesthetically, the least desirable part of the boat is this blue section. This is the gunwale, and there's a bunch of blistering of the paint and the gel coat. That is not structural. It doesn't leak, and at some point we'll pull the boat up onto the hard and sand, patch, and repaint that, but that's the least of our concerns right now, so we're ready for the rest of it. One other thing I wanted to point out that we didn't pick the boat for, but as we learn about more boats and find out with people coming and visiting, they're all envious of the chain plates. The chain plates on this boat, which are part of the standing rigging, they're thick, they're in great condition, and most importantly, they're easy to get to on the exterior of the boat. They're not buried into fiberglass or teak, which means observing and managing corrosion this is like best case scenario for this. So that was not something we were searching for, but now that we have it, we really appreciate that we have it. Okay, so that's enough from on the dock. Why don't you all come on with me and we'll look at what's on board. All right, so we're in the bow. This boat has a really nice organized deck. It's got anti-skid everywhere, plenty of handholds on the deck of the boat, which, believe it or not, in really rough conditions, you would potentially literally be crawling from the bow back to the cockpit to make sure that you're safe. So having handholds all the way along the deck and sturdy safety lines, that's important. But looking at some things that were important to us in any boat we would have chosen would be a working windlass. So we have a nice heavy anchor. We've got plenty of chain, and so we feel good about this boat is already equipped with no modification to be able to anchor this wherever we need it to safely anchor. The boat has a Genoa. It's 125% Genoa, so it's a jib sail that's 125% larger than the surface, this space here, right? So that's the Genoa, and it's on a nice Furlex furler, which I'm sure I'm gonna have to service at some point. But I tell you this, we've already taken this out in bumpy conditions, and it's so nice to just rip it out, boom, sailing, and then when it's time to be done, you turn it to the wind and furler right back up. So stoked that it has that. That was a must-have, obviously. So as we're moving down the bow, you'll already start to see some of the modifications that we've made. There was a very funky Walmart tackle box mounted to the deck here. We've replaced that with the largest West Marine cooler that you can get. I did that because honestly it was easy. It's a clean look. It's got a comfortable seat on it if we want to sit here and just chill, but also I can pull the seat off and I can stand and I can work with you know, things that are on the mast from here. So this is actually lashed to the deck, and we're pretty happy with this as a solution for storage. I'm not going to get super detailed on the rigging and the sailing, you know, equipment on this boat. We were definitely interested in a boat that had a furling Genoa or jib and a large, easy to operate main mast. We were avoiding boats with a mizzen mast because managing 3 sails feels like a lot. Things that were important to us with this boat: the mast is in good shape, it's sturdy. The sail will probably need to be replaced in the next year just for us to feel really safe, but the sail it has full battens, which means when we raise it up, the battens create shape. It's sort of idiot proof, to be perfectly honest. And how do I know? Is because our first time ever sailing this thing, we raised it up, the shape was perfect, and we started sailing. Like, it was just, there wasn't really much to do on it. What's really nice though is it's got this, I think you call it the boom vang, right? This piece that holds the boom up in place. That was something I was definitely looking for to be already installed. And we can actually add tension, and we can even, for the back of the sail, if we're reefing, we can actually basically automate that reefing from here, and that could be coming into the cockpit. So we could actually reef the main by pulling it down, cranking down the clew on the back, and then we would just have to reef one of the eyelets up front. One of the more reasonable things to do in rough conditions. Psyched on that. Number one thing we were looking for, we knew we liked Morgan's and we liked the Ketch, right? The center cockpit. That just made sense to us, and as soon as we got onto it, that confirmed that that's what we like. Second was what I already showed you, the performance keel, so that not only is this boat big, but can, you know, be easily sailed by amateurs like us. So we love the cockpit. It's roomy. We've got all sorts of work we're gonna do. Zoo's gonna build custom cushions. She's already started cutting patterns for that. I know that that's gonna make this super cozy. It's already got an autopilot installed. That's one of those things, right? Like, I didn't really want to have to put that in, so we're psyched that this boat came with some working electronics, navigation, autopilot. All those things work great already as is. So although it wasn't something we were specifically researching, we like the layout of the aft, right? There's plenty of space to operate freely, completely clear of the boom, which is nice. Hey buddy, you like it? It's kind of cool for the cats, because when we're in the cabin that we sleep in, if we open it all the way, they can actually jump in and out of it, which can be a fun adventure. But I think, you know, Louis brings up a good point. It's fairly flat back here, which is gonna, I think, go over a lot better when we're in rough conditions and we have cats up on deck, right? We're gonna put netting around here to help keep them in the boat, but having a safe space back here to operate definitely is smart. And we're gonna be adding more storage back here. And you can see one of my initial projects with the boat. The boat has a propane stove, but the propane wasn't actually installed in the boat. What I chose to do is just to surface mount a tank. I'm running a new through hole for the line and for the electrical, and I mounted a solenoid onto it so that we can safely turn it on and off from below deck. And to be honest, the next propane tank I replaced this with, I'm not even gonna go aluminum, we'll just go with a newly painted steel. Painted steel don't rust as long as it's not scratched up, and it's just a fraction of the cost. So we'll probably add storage for a second 20-pound tank, and that's going to be a lot of propane for a long time. So while we're up here, might as well talk about the cockpit and the helm. I don't know really any better. It's not like I've been on a bunch of sailboats to pick what I like one versus the other, but I know that both Zoo and I are comfortable, have great visibility piloting the boat. Which is important. The steering is super positive. Again, it already has some working electronics, which will at least be good enough for now. Although I think eventually we'll be using iPad or iPhone navionics for a lot of, the core navigation. So it'll be interesting to experiment with what we do or don't like. And we do need to modify our bimini so that we can see the wind vane. This bimini is actually something we've already replaced since we've been here, because we needed to make sure we had, when it rains and when it's super sunny, we can still get in here and hang out. So some modifications are coming to this. This is the original Dodger. It works terrific, but it's old enough that it leaks a little bit, and the plastic is no longer clear like we want to. And good news, Zoo thinks that she can pull this apart, pattern it, and rebuild it. And since she did such a good job on her cushions, looking forward to that. But that brings up one of the things we love about this boat. This Dodger creates just a safe space for everyone to hang out. So whether it's raining and we want to leave the companionway open, at anchor, or when we're actually, motoring or sailing down, having this space to stay warm, to stay out of the sun, keep ventilation rolling. The cats are very comfortable in here because there's nowhere for them to go. So I'm sure a lot of boats have this, but yeah, I love this layout right here. This is exactly what we need. And it's super easy to unzip these and, get a breezeway through here.
So Dan showed you guys all the on-deck stuff that makes this boat perfect for us. I'm gonna show you guys everything below deck that we love about this boat. Okay. So let's start with one of the top 3 reasons we chose this boat, and that's this galley right here. The size of it, the shape of it. The Classic has this U-shaped kitchen. So because this galley has so much countertop space, it also has a lot of storage. Right here, we got our dry food storage, nice and deep, can get lots of stuff in here. And we have 2 compartments for refrigeration, and we have the freezer right in here. So nice and deep. Definitely can get most of my body into these compartments, which is, I'm still getting used to it, but I think I've figured out a pretty good system of storage so far. We have also replaced the sink recently. It was a sink with 2 compartments, which made it pretty cumbersome to wash stuff. So we replaced it with a single sink, really large, and not that I love doing dishes, but it definitely makes it way more enjoyable and quite a bit less annoying.
And she's forgetting to mention some of the fun stuff. When I installed that sink, I also installed a reverse osmosis water filter. So the water in our tanks, which we have 200 gallons of fresh water storage, we're filtering through this. You could literally have sketchy, questionable water in those tanks, and that is delicious drinking water coming out of that. So that was a great add.
One of the other things we love about the Galley is that it connects right into the salon. So you can be cooking and people can be hanging out. Lots of hangout space because of that 13-foot beam that Dan already talked about. We could fit 10 people in here easily. Everyone can have a seat on the port side or the starboard side on these wonderful cushions that I made. Lots of storage underneath here, behind these, up in here, and then of course we have our giant scratching post that Dan made, wrapped our mast in rope so that our cats have something to scratch on instead of the cushions and the carpets. They definitely love this thing, especially Pepe. We have a table that folds down. We originally had thought about swapping this table out, but ever since we've started using it, it's kind of grown on us. There you have it. Lots of people can fit in here. It's a little awkward to get in and out of, but we still decided that is fine with us. And it's a great place to work. It's become my desk while Dan uses the nav station as his office. Might as well take a look at that. There's the nav station. And this leads us down to the hallway to the aft cabin, which is our bedroom. Lots of storage space right in here for all of Dan's tools. Okay. Lots of space on this boat. I think that's the theme of the Morgan Classic. One of the other top reasons we picked this boat is the aft cabin bathroom. I love the fact that this boat has a separate shower. So once there's a shower curtain, you can separate it from everything else in the bathroom, which I think is pretty fantastic. We have started swapping out the toilets on this boat. This is a compostable toilet. We'll talk about that more on another episode. Obviously, this bathroom still has a ways to go. We need to repaint it, retile it, switch out the fixtures. But it's going to look really great when it's done. So we'll have to show you the updates to that. I just wanted to re-emphasize how awesome it is to have all this walking space, all this standing room. We have 2 closets, lots of space. And on this complete other side, we have another closet. So much room for activities.
Look at all this floor space. So much aerobics in here. So many activities.
Okay, my turn. So we're gonna go from the aft cabin, which is the main cabin we sleep in, and I'm gonna take you guys into engineering. So layout of these Morgans has, here we've got the panel for all of the switching and fusing. Super easy to get to, at least on the front side. All of the original works for the most part, so I won't have to do a lot of modification here. Some, but not too much. And I would say, based on what I've seen in boats and you know, and then playing around in this one, I think that the way that the engine compartment is laid out and where the engine is in this boat is awesome, because it's not jammed underneath like a kitchen sink or some little closet. The engine room is massive and leaves lots of room for me to be able to operate. So what you're seeing in here is the Yanmar diesel that runs the boat. It runs terrific. I'll end up doing some minor maintenance and swapping out some parts to get it ready for long term, but it runs perfectly, purrs like a kitten right now. What you're not seeing in here is I've already removed a non-functioning generator and one of the 4 air conditioning units that were in this boat that didn't work. That was not very fun. To get that generator out, I'm not sure how they got the damn thing in here, but to get it out, I had to disassemble it into buckets until I eventually got to the engine block. The engine block on the generator was still this big and weighed like 160 pounds, and somehow got that out of here. So what we're looking forward to, this is a ton of working space, so we're going to be able to put in our updated electrical, which will clean up everything here. We'll do a proper 20,000, or no, I'm sorry, we'll put in a proper 2,000 BTU AC heat pump. I'm going to put S-bar diesel heaters, at least one here that runs heat to the rest of the boat, and I'm going to be probably at some point putting in a water maker. And there's enough room to get all that in here and to have free space to operate. So although this is a bit of a cluster right now, what I'm looking forward to is when I reorganize it with my fresh plumbing and electrical, the fact that I can climb in there and have space to get to everything. Like, I honestly don't know of another sailboat that it's easier to get to all sides of the engine. So I think that that's probably a lucky find for us. Other top 3 reason we chose this boat. It's got 2 sleeping cabins with 2 full bathrooms, and that's huge because we can entertain friends, like a couple, and they have their own space. In reality, we could actually take out in the water even more because these all double as additional settees, spots for people to sleep. But come join me in the V-berth. Thing we love about this boat, the bulkheads are all straight. So if you've ever owned a big boat like this, the fact that the doors open easily and close easily is pretty nice. So this is a pretty good size V-berth. We're currently using it right now for a storage and workspace, and honestly, like, I can't imagine if we didn't have this with all the work that we're doing. There's so much stuff. All of my power tools are inside of this storage bin. All of this space is being used really well right now for this, and I think that that'll be a lot. But when we have guests, we'll end up putting in our own modified cushions that can be modular, pulled out, moved around. Plenty of room for 2 people. In fact, if 2 people and a couple of dogs or cat or kid, I think there'd be room for all of them in here. As far as access in the boat, it's got a huge closet that passes through to the main cabin that already has a ton of stuff in it. A really full-size draining chain locker. That's a nice bonus, that it's not just, it's got a chain locker, but it drains, it works right, it's huge, there's room for even more chain. That's great. There's a ton of storage down here, and the fact that we're installing compostable toilets in both bathrooms has actually freed up more storage space. So what used to be the bladder for the waste is now space for extra chain and road, which is great. Otherwise, this is where the cat box lives right now. So let's talk about a bonus of this. We definitely wanted 2 cabins with 2 bathrooms. We got spoiled with the fact that this actually comes with a private entrance to the bathroom. So they can enter from their end of the cabin, or obviously someone can enter from the main cabin. This is a work in progress, but when this is done, we're gonna have a rinse station in here with hot water, another composting toilet. Zoo's gonna do some rad stuff with paint and decor. And look, we see it all over this boat. Tons of headroom. I've got friends that are like 6'2", 6'3". Welcome aboard, fellas. There's plenty of room for everybody. So Zoo, there's a lot of boat and a lot of things to love. What are your 2 favorite features of this boat?
That's easy. The galley and how large it is, and the separate shower in our bathroom.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. For me, sailing characteristics of the boat, that performance keel, that was huge. I feel so lucky that we were able to lock in on this boat. Also, the sheer size of those refrigerators means there's room for all of the food that we need, and always room for at least 1 12-pack of Modelo's.
Thanks for joining us on a tour of our boat.
Yeah, there's gonna be so many adventures. So much of what we're doing is upgrading this boat. So I'm glad you're seeing it from a baseline, even though we've already done a fair amount of work. These cushions are insane how good they are. But stick with us through the episodes and you'll see the transformation of the solar, updated plumbing. We're gonna do rigging on the boat, and some of it we or I know how to do really well, and just going to do it again, and there's going to be plenty that we're going to be literally learning as we go, and we'll share those learning perspectives as we go through everything. Till then, it's Never Monday, not Tuesday.
It's actually Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, that's right. But which is definitely not Monday.
It's definitely not a Monday.
We'll never make an episode on a Monday.
Never.
What Monday?
There is no Monday.
Yeah. Whoops, we missed it.